Hello everyone, AlphaSoul here and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and touch upon the latest greatest dev discussion video called Toxicity. Toxicity is the topic here. Let's read the question. The question is as follows. What are some things other games do to manage toxicity that you think work well? What would you like to see in Ashes of Creation? Now, this question, like all others, was posed on the forum. If you want to participate, there is going to be a link down below in the discussion. Follow that to there. So this is a big question. It's a question that I can talk about for hours. I can make an hour-long video, not even bat an eye on this, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it short, sweet, and simple. Let's start with the definition. What does it mean to be toxic? All right. A good definition that I saw on Reddit, forgot the user, was a toxic player is somebody who constantly creates a bad atmosphere which interferes with your gaming experience, right? So you can see right off the bat, that's kind of subjective. What one person may consider toxic may not be so toxic to another. So for example, there are some things that kind of fall into that category. Trolls, racists, misogynists, I think that's how you pronounce that, elitists, tryhards, angry professionals, griefers. There are so many kind of subdivisions and things that you would potentially throw into categories there. And all of them kind of bother people a little bit differently. So it depends on the person that is affected to it. Going on that and, pronouncing that on that a little further, it differs game by game. You can be a toxic gamer in one game in a completely different way. For example, in MOBAs, if you don't follow your teammates, you're kind of dooming your team to lose, therefore you're being a toxic gamer. However, in Call of Duty, being a toxic gamer means something completely different versus being a toxic gamer in World of Warcraft. So there are many different kind of interpretations, but I really do like that definition. It's somebody who constantly creates a bad atmosphere which interferes with your gaming experience. Now, let me start by saying this. I do not think that Intrepid Studios should be in the business of policing actions, right? However, I believe that they should create and design the game in such a way that allows for players to police themselves and kind of involves those incentives that goes around. So if I'm going to sum up my two main points, main point number one, you need to be accountable for your actions in some way, shape, or form. Point number two, there needs to be a way to counteract whatever behavior that you are doing, or a way to interact with whatever behavior that you're doing before or after the fact. Those are two main solid things that I have. Now, let's just take a step back real quick here. MMOs are in a very unique space in terms of gaming. They are very different than many other games out there, and the majority of the games out there, in that they have persistent worlds, right? In first-person shooters and other games like that, you're building kind of your profile, if you will. You're getting better at the game. Most of the time, though, you get into a game and you're not going to see those people in those matches that you're in ever again. You might see, if you're in league play, people over and over, but for the most part, you can go through, play a game, and not see the same person more than once, anything like that, right? They're very lobby-centric, very singular type of games, but MMOs, on the other hand, have the added aspect of community, have the added aspect of a singular world. And in Ashes of Creation specifically, it's going to be you on whatever server or shard that you're on, and you're building yourself, right? MMOs are also a little bit more unique in that you are building a character, you're investing time in a character, you are constantly going about, and in order to continuously kind of either build your character, build your wealth within game, you're going to have to rely either on your reputation or something fact of the matter, or some other fact of the matter, right? So it's different than that. The greater the investment that you're putting in your characters or your character, the more stock you have in the game, the more that you kind of want to protect your reputation, and the more that you kind of, I guess you could say, temper your words and things that you say and things that you do, right? What really creates toxic kind of behavior is lack of accountability, if you will. So back to my original points, and that you need to be accountable for your actions. Lack of accountability is really a high driver in this type of behavior, right? So it's not saying that, you know, when you have accountability, this type of behavior goes away, but I do genuinely believe, and from what I've seen, it's greatly reduced, right? So your game, in particular Ashes of Creation, has to be designed around introducing that accountability, right? So there are soft kind of controls that you can put in, muting people, blocking people, bozoing people, but there's also kind of introducing in-game feedback mechanisms. Knowing what a player has done in some way, shape, or form is useful, and it carries on, right? I know a lot of people kind of look to what is it, like reporting systems and things like that, but I think reporting systems can only go so far and can be abused pretty well. I think what really works well is having a way to, again, track what a player does, right? And it doesn't have to be something that's all encompassing. It could be something as simple as, you know, having a tracking mechanism. This person's been reported X amount of times, blah, 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 blah. This is the history of blah, blah, blah. And that person can either, you know, hide his history or make it available to anyone on request. There's a lot of things that, you know, kind of come to mind. But again, the base general is the game has to be designed in such a way. There are many systems that influence things like that. The last thing that I'll touch on is alts, right? If your game is alt friendly, it's a lot harder to, you know, rein in toxic behavior, only because, you know, you kind of have the option of, you know, well, if I tarnish my reputation on this character, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to another character, right? If there's no real drop off or going in, then, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to do. Again, not discouraging alts, but there are just so many kind of factors with the game itself that make it either easier or harder to. If you're grouping, again, if you're encouraging grouping with, you know, groups and the same groups and feedback on people who are in groups, then it makes it easier to create a better environment because, well, you see these people all the time. You're leveling with these people. You know, you get to know that person, and if that person's an ass and, you know, it shows through whatever he's done, he or she has done, then it's easier to kind of ostracize them, and just not deal with them anymore. But it's kind of hard if they can just switch to another character. But again, yeah, all little things. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's kind of my thoughts on it. No specific thing, only that, you know, just design your game around it. That's pretty much it. Let me know what your thoughts. What do you think, you know, Intrepid could do to make or manage toxicity a little bit easier? Always curious. Want to know what you guys think. Thank you, guys. Take care of yourselves. You guys have a great day.